craft is the new luxury. The ability to do something slowly and enjoy your time doing it is going to be a new sign that you're wealthy.
What has been some of the biggest changes for online entrepreneurs?
The information is a race to the bottom. So those that package and sell information, they're seeing massive dips in sales.
If I'm starting a business, what should I do today?
Or market before you actually have a product.
You talk about it reaching and teaching 1 billion people.
And it can be done within my lifetime, if not faster.
Chris, it's great to see you again. Welcome to Creator Mode.
Thank you so much, Alex.
And the last time we met, I remember, was just under 1 year ago. We were at VidCon in California, which is a creator conference. And I was reflecting just before this podcast that a lot has changed in the past 1 year for creators and entrepreneurs. And so I wanted to start by asking you, what do you think has been some of the biggest changes for online entrepreneurs?
I think every year is like probably 10 years in human time, but in AI time, it's moving really fast. And so we're seeing this massive force disrupt so many different things. Information is a race to the bottom. So those that package and sell information, if that's what you do, you're going to see a decline in sales. People run education companies in those communities. They're seeing massive dips in sales, and we're not any different than that. The other thing that we're seeing is people are seeing how easy it is to code an app. Vibe coding, I think that's a term that a lot of people use. You sit there and kind of just talk to it a little bit, and it kind of creates you an app and does whatever you want. So if you're running a SaaS company, there's also going to be a race to the bottom there too. And it feels like the last thing that I'm seeing is a proliferation of AI-generated content on all platforms, either in comments, AI scripts, AI voiceover, AI video. And I think it's an interesting time because there's a reaction to these things when we're overwhelmed with this, that we're seeking human-to-human interaction, where I think craft is the new luxury. The ability to do something slowly and enjoy your time doing it versus rushing, because that's what the machine can do better than you, is going to be a new sign that you're wealthy.
Interesting. So when you said you've seen a dip in sales,
yeah,
that's quite alarming if you're an online entrepreneur. What are the reactions you've seen around that? Like, how have you reacted? You've got a business online as well. And what are people doing about it?
Everybody has a different strategy. Some people are trying to put out their content on as many different platforms as possible. So they're taking an omni-channel approach where they're selling it everywhere and anywhere you can bump into at different price points even. That's a little confusing strategy, but it's working for some people. We're seeing people sell products or design products that are a lot lower in price point. So if we're going to say I guess it's the high ticket offer is struggling right now. I came back from a marketing powwow mastermind, and they're all telling me high ticket offers are going to be dead. What they're saying is the high touch experience is going to be alive and well. So people are seeking that really high end, high touch experience that you're going to get doing one-on-ones versus one-to-manys. They think that's the direction they're taking. We had to do some consolidation here. Truth be told, we lost $1 million in revenue last year. Down $1 million in revenue. I shouldn't say lost $1 million. I want to paint the picture correctly. So we had to slim our team down and get really focused on what it is that we do well, and just make things a lot less complicated for us so that we can figure out what the next move is. So in this time, if you're struggling, I would say that you need to be really lean in your operation, staff it with just the core people so that you're very nimble.
So that's a really big statement, right? The high ticket offer is dying. And you said the curated experience is what's working. So if I was to deep dive a little bit into that, would you say that the traditional high ticket was more, let's meet up online, let's watch a video, let's do something that's a little bit asynchronous, and as long as I'm providing value, then I potentially have customers. But in the new world, we're saying, well, hang on a second, I can get this information for free. It could be as basic as ChatGPT, it could be YouTube, but I have this whole world where I can access information. Information is not what I'm paying for necessarily. From my perspective, the creative experience provides much more than education. It provides community, it provides accountability. What do you think when you're designing your curated experiences? What are you looking to give your community that will make them feel that, wow, this is worth paying for versus the alternatives?
I'm just looking for pain points and areas of friction, and anything I can do to ease that, I'm going to do. I'll give you an example. Historically speaking, you can take a class in person or online, and then you might need some support. And that's usually where it falls down, because support is a very expensive thing to do. I think that's why unis are quite expensive to attend, especially here in America. So if you're able to design a teaching assistant that is at a lower price point than you, who has 80% of the knowledge but can help students get through those friction points, you're going to do really well. And that has been done for many, many years. That's why there's TAs that are in the grad programs and they're helping their professors teach the class. But that's not super scalable because it's still limited by humans. So we've incorporated this into a bot that's trained on how I think, my materials that aren't available anywhere else as far as I know. And so they can have access to this TA 24/7. So anytime you have a jam, you talk to it when I'm not available because the price point is too high, then you have a good enough solution, and that's what we're looking for. So we're looking for as many ways to remove bottlenecks in what we do. I'll give you another example. We added something new this year in terms of financial accountability. We're asking people to understand their profit and loss, have a P&L statement. So they fill out a spreadsheet. And then we humans have to go through that. I'm like, oh my God, first of all, A, I might not be qualified to do this. I'm not an accountant. And B, the volume of work that we're going to have to do is untenable. So then we said, you know what? Here's my recommendations. Have GPT run through this, scrub all the private data, just look at the numbers. And all the questions it asks are the ones that I asked. And I ran it a couple of times. I'm like, okay, it can do accounting really well. And so what we would do is we'd take their data, run it through the AI, and then give them a report back with some questions and things they need to be thinking about with a red light, yellow light, green light system. So red light, you're going to be out of business tomorrow. Yellow light, you might be out of business really soon. Let's act. And green light, all good to go. Spend as much as you need. You're good. Then what I realize is, why do we need to hold on to the script or the prompt? We'll just give them the prompt. Do your own spreadsheet, put it through the prompt, and it will tell you what you need to know. So we'll just engineer the prompt. We're trying to remove all the friction points, and sometimes we are the friction point. Those are just two quick examples. The big idea is to think about what is it that feels like it's irreplaceable in a human-to-human experience, understand that how you do it in a non-scalable way, then ask what tools, what automation, what systems can be developed such that that could be done more efficiently and effectively. But look at it first from a human-to-human experience.
And what's fascinating about that, Chris, is that your bot is available more than even probably the person who pays you the most for your time.
Yes.
It's 24/7. It can be flexible in terms of the questions that are asked. And that's really, I mean, it's empowering for you as a creator, right? Because it scales beyond your time.
Yes.
But then also for the end user, it's far more accessible. So I guess in that world, what you're saying is, I want thousands, even millions of people to access Chris's bot versus I want a handful of high ticket users. And is that how you see the future world of online businesses?
I see it as giving people more choices. So for those who want that access, who need that, but don't want to pay it or can't wait for it when the next booking is available, that's a good option for you. And those who are like, I don't care. I don't want to talk to a robot. I want to hear it from your mouth because I trust you more than a machine. I'm willing to pay. I'm willing to wait. And I'm willing to work around your schedule. I can meet them there too. I'm just trying to remove friction in the entire process. That's just basic like UX design 101, user experience design.
What I also find interesting is that, you know, with the future, with your business, you know, one of your mission statements that you talk about is reaching and teaching 1 billion people.
Yes.
And if I think about how can Chris personally do in-person workshops for 1 billion people, I'm like, well, that's super hard, right? But when you talk about this world and you're saying, okay, depending on your entry point, there's something for you, the teaching 1 billion people becomes possible actually potentially very quickly.
People used to ask me this question all the time. Chris, is it possible to teach 1 billion people? I'm like, I don't think so, but it's a good goal to head towards. It forces me to think bigger, to act bigger, and to be braver. And that's what mission statements are about. And it can be done within my lifetime, if not faster. So this is pretty cool. I also think about me teaching one-on-one or one-to-many is still very difficult to do. So the other idea, the other layer that I put in there is if I taught the teachers how to teach, then it's a multiplier. And I keep thinking about how do I multiply this? So I've been very intentional in the last year to do workshops where I'm constantly documenting what I'm doing. I'm trying to remove my quote unquote special knowledge from it to set up frameworks and exercises such that a reasonably intelligent person who's passionate about doing this and seeing other people succeed can run the workshop without me with a fair degree of success. Then this starts to work. We want to multiply things.
Like train the trainer,
Yeah,
almost.
train the trainer.
Yeah. And in that world, do you think that, because today people come to see Chris because they like Chris, right? They really value Chris teaching them. In the world where it's your frameworks, I imagine it's because they know that the Christo method or the future method
Yes.
gets them results. Is
That's
that
right.
how you see it? Okay.
Absolutely. You know, so here's the phenomenon, I think. If I asked you who's the most influential or the most liked martial artist of all time, who would you say? And who do you think the people would say?
Ooh. It probably depends on your age. Maybe Bruce Lee.
Probably. And he's oftentimes the number one person. So here's the thing. Bruce Lee's filmography is very small compared to Jet Li, who's been making films since he was a kid and he's still making films today. But here's the really cool part about Bruce Lee. I think he's a philosopher more than he is a traditional martial artist. So he's been able to transcend and catapult himself above others because he's deeply philosophical. We're often quoting Bruce Lee things. We're not quoting the other martial artists for whatever. Like, you're not dropping a Chuck Norris quote. You're not quoting a Jean-Claude Van Damme quote, because Bruce Lee was very smart, probably ahead of his time, integrating philosophy into the martial arts. And then he started Jeet Kune Do. And so the original students are masters of the Jeet Kune Do technique. And he didn't even live that long. Then they teach him. And so he survives. And we can say, like, if you've learned from any one of these or his films, he's had a pretty big impact on people who are into martial arts.
And interesting, when you describe it in that way, I think of so many examples. I was thinking about, Zumba as a brand. You don't really think about who created Zumba. You think about, you have an instructor who follows a framework and a method. So in a way, what you're suggesting for yourself, but also for other entrepreneurs today, is to say, look, actually, let's go back in time and let's follow the method that's worked for, many others to build a philosophy, and then have your teachers, educators, disciples, or potentially an AI bot to deliver the content or the teaching.
When you talk about train the trainers, isn't that what all entrepreneurs do? I mean, the only way you can scale is you have middle management, your VPs, your Ps, and you're organizing, working with them, teaching them how you make decisions. You're teaching them about the core values so that you can then focus on the next thing. And that's how this starts to mushroom out. The best entrepreneurs are also the best teachers.
Very interesting. We talk about this a lot at NAS. We say, in the old model, you want to go to the University of Alabama. In the new model, you want to go to the University of Allen. So in the world where the individual is so important, do you think it makes it harder to create this philosophy and to follow this?
That's real interesting. I think we all need a label to kind of put our trust into. And there's this idea, I'm spacing on his name right now, but he wrote the book Story 10X. And his line was something like, a product or service without a story is a commodity. So when we talk about water, when water doesn't have a story, it's just water, and it's free or it's very inexpensive. Tap water, you don't pay a premium for. You pay for what it costs. But Essential Water or Avion or Fuji has a story, or Topo Chico, whatever your favorite beverage is, or Liquid Death. It's a marketing story, but it's still a story, and it's a brand play. And so we just need something to hook onto. And the thing that we like to hook onto are people. I'm sure you guys test this in your YouTube videos or your social posts. When there's a face, whether it's your face or Nas's face or mine, there's a story that's inherent within that, because we're signaling to people, oh, that's a person I want to get to know more, or not. And so I think having a face to the brand is a very natural thing, because we want to trust people. We don't trust organizations.
Fascinating. So that's with your business then, for others to learn from you. You're like, you have the brand, right? And then you have yourself. And so if an entrepreneur watching this wants to do something similar, when do you use Chris as a brand? And when do you use the future?
A brand or a corporation is a proxy for the person. So when the person doesn't have a strong personality or point of view, they construct something called a brand. It's a modern creation, right? And people will put their trust into that thing. And this is all we're doing. We're trying to build trust at scale. So if something works or the food is great and something's reliable, doesn't break down in the marketplace, to protect it from competition and knockoffs, they develop a mark. And the mark says, this is who you can trust. And it's a legal thing, but do we have an irrational emotional bond or connection with that? Depends on how well they tell that story. So I would encourage most entrepreneurs today, if you're serious about playing this long game about building equity in your brand, your name, or some image that you create, I would lead it with a person, because ultimately it's going to come back to that anyways.
Got it. Fascinating. And we're experiencing that as well with NAS. So NAS is actually the company. NAS means people. And then Nusire is the founder of NAS, and we have other personalities as well. We made a conscious effort saying we want to separate those two things about 3 years ago, and it took time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for us, it was very much about establishing what does the company stand for and what does the individual stand for. And you know, over time, people got it.
So some people don't know this, but for 23 years, I have this production company called Blind. We make commercials and music videos. And Blind deliberately kept me in the background. Even though people who knew, it's like, we want to work with Chris. And I became a problem because I became the bottleneck for new business. And I did the very best that I could to promote the creative directors who were actually doing the work. Somewhere in there, social media becomes a thing. And now we're trying to post and create content as Blind, the company, the brand. And we don't know what to do because it's an amalgamation of a lot of different personalities and values and beliefs. I have a very strong belief system. I want to write things, but if I write that, it doesn't accurately represent the group. And this is why corporations become almost soulless, because it's representing ideas and not real people. And so when we created content for Blind, we never knew what to say, what the tone was, and it became very self-promotional. So what we would do is like, congratulations to our clients at Sony for doing X, Y, and Z. Great job. And then we're so proud of the work that we did. You're great collaborators and it was so fun. You're geniuses. And this is kind of how you do PR and you do social posts, because you can't step on any toes. You have to give everyone their flowers, and it goes nowhere. Now, You're going to see this pattern because all across social media, it doesn't matter which platform you're on, any page from a brand gets way less engagement and interaction than the person. And there's a reason why, because the algorithms already figured this out, because most of the things that come from a corporation or from a page are very lackluster in personality. It's very self-promotional. It's thinly veiled advertising and PR. That's the problem. And so when I started The Future 20 some odd years into my entrepreneurial journey, it was just me. It's a company and it's me. And so I just let go of this whole idea. I need a right to represent other people. First of all, there's no one else to represent but me. So I started writing I believe this. I want this. So I felt more genuine writing I than we, because that sounds pretentious when it's just me. It's like when people speak about themselves in the third person. Super pretentious, right? And I kept doing that. What shocked me was the amount of engagement and the followers we were able to get. The acceleration was exponentially, like by a factor of 10 more than Blind. So that was the first lesson. Like, do you write as a corporate entity or do you write as yourself? And so what happened over time was, as The Future and my personal brand grew, I couldn't manage both. So what happened was The Future was posting things as scraping content from my personal brand and speaking over here. So someone else was making these posts, but the ideas were rooted in what it is I was saying, and the tone and the style is of what I was saying. So it became a good proxy for me.
What we've tried to do is humanize the brand through our customers, but not congratulations, this person hit this milestone. But actually, in the case of NAS.io, where individuals are building businesses on our platform, there are some fascinating stories.
Yeah.
And that's actually what's got the engagement, which is that this person's been able to actually, buy a home, get married because they started an online business. And people are like, whoa, wow, that's really inspiring. And it's not, therefore you should buy the X product, but more, let's just showcase. So I think that my take on what you said is that I absolutely agree that the I model, the individual within the faceless company, is more effective, let's say,
Yeah.
than the we. But then I think if you're a bigger organization and it's not possible to do the I,
Right.
then I would really go to the grassroots of like, who are the people that make this company great?
Yeah.
And try and showcase them.
Yeah.
It's very hard as a company though, because your whole reason to exist is to sell. The whole way you measure your metrics is to sell. So
To make profit.
to make profit, you got to pay the
Yeah.
bills. You know,
Yeah.
you have salaries at the end of the month or rent or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's almost you have to go against what you fundamentally believe and what you exist as a company. But I think it goes into an interesting point, which is that does organic content in today's world, the world you describe with AI, that content is going to be abundant. Anyone can make content in just a few seconds or minutes. Like, should we be caring anymore about organic content, about reach? Or actually, is this just going to be commoditized?
Yeah, that's a big question. You're familiar with McDonald's, right? It's a global brand.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Wendy's?
I am, but that's only because I spend a lot of time in America. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So they do something quite unique, which is weird. They have a square patty versus a round. Everyone makes a roundish patty. They make a square patty. Now, Wendy's is a far, far distant competitor to McDonald's. But Wendy's has something that I guess McDonald's doesn't have, which is they have a lot to lose if they don't find their personality. So quite famously, the way Wendy's comes into the market and claws its way out of obscurity and probably oblivion is they start to write as a sassy Wendy. So Dave Thomas founds Wendy's and names it after his daughter. I assume a redheaded girl with pigtails because that's the mascot or the avatar for Wendy's. And so Wendy started to write pretty aggressively. It seems like it's a woman like Wendy. And it's very consistent. I imagine it just being a really smart woman writing copy. And so McDonald's, corporate, boring, safe, the behemoth, has to play it safe. Wendy's does not. It's asymmetrical warfare. We know that you cannot beat the bigger dominant player by using their tactics. You know, conventional warfare says we meet you on the field, we line up and we shoot, and the bigger force wins every single time. Asymmetrical warfare says we're going to go where you're weak and we're going to go where we're strong. And so they start clapping back at McDonald's, and it's quite hilarious. And all of a sudden, you're like, I'll try Wendy's. And Wendy's becomes a weird place for like younger, hipper, more people who are anti-establishment. So it's something like McDonald's would write, "What's up with the square patties?" Like that's a dig, right? And like, yeah, we don't cut corners. Oh, it was like, wow. So you could see like they were out of their league. They just couldn't have those quick, snappy things. And all of a sudden, Wendy's has a personality again. And so I'm still saying in the world of large corporations, you're going to see this. Kentucky Fried Chicken, the same thing. They bring the Colonel back. They're bringing back the personality. Now, Ronald McDonald's not a real person, but that's who they use, but whatever. So it's like if we can go back to the founder story, find the soul and the essence, and act as if that person were still alive and the part of the company, the life force, I think we get somewhere. Like Dell, do you have any indication as to what Dell is about? Their voice, their personality? No. Right. And why would you buy a Dell? Do you know why? A Dell computer?
You wouldn't. Today, if you were choosing something like a Dell computer, like a similar kind of brand that doesn't have a face, you would really objectively probably just like, I don't know, look at a YouTube review. And if someone said buy Dell, you might be like, okay. But you wouldn't have any brand attachment.
None. No emotional attachment. They compete on price and delivery.
Yeah.
They don't build a computer until you order it. That gives them an advantage. That's the innovation that Michael Dell had. But there's no emotion. There's no soul. They really just have to compete on price. They've become a commodity player. Whereas companies like Apple or Alienware or some of these other PC manufacturers that make gaming machines, similar hardware, just more personality. And they speak for a very specific group of people who feel a strange attachment to them that they'll pay that extra tax. We call it the Apple tax. Like, it's not better, it's worse, but we'll pay extra for it. Why? Because we see ourselves in the brand, the product, and the ethos. Like to be able to walk down the street and hold an iPhone versus an Android or a Galaxy or whatever, you're saying something like, I care about design. I have good taste. I like simplicity. I like elegance. Those are things that we're saying. That gets into the whole essence of brand.
It's a status thing.
It is a status thing. Absolutely. So I'll put that issue to bed. I'm still going to be the guy who's going to champion whether you're a company of 1 or 1 million, you still need to have personality.
And do you think that applies to all industries? Are there industries where you need to avoid personality in your view,
Yeah.
or do you think it doesn't matter?
I think it, like, if you're Boeing, let's not have too much personality. It's cool. Just don't have the doors fly off and the windows break. Get people to land safely, because there's some companies we want to have a slow, steady hand. We don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to get sassy on you. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Am I going to arrive okay? Do I have to say goodbye to my family because this could be our last trip? Yes. Industries like that, let's leave them alone, like government.
Yeah. And then when it comes to government, just very quickly, like in the US, for people like myself who live outside the US, we look into the US and say, hang on a second, with people like Elon, like government is getting personality. Like people, whether you agree or not, right? Like people are speaking in not just, we're going to keep you safe. They're speaking in ways that maybe not traditionally have been the way that a government would speak. And you see this around the world, by the way. I mean, I can use examples like Argentina. The president of Argentina has been really, really opinionated. The president of El Salvador has like millions of followers. And so in those cases, and maybe there's nuance here, which is that, in those cases, they are actually not necessarily the people who we expect to keep us safe. Maybe it's the wrapper on top, right?
Yes.
Maybe that's the solution. But I guess that there are situations where even in those industries, personality is cutting through.
Yeah. Like I said before, there are certain things that I don't want to have too much personality. I want a slow, steady hand. I want reliable. The Environmental Protection Agency, I want them to be reliable. Don't be like dyeing your hair purple. The Food and Drug Administration, FDA, or the people who regulate the airlines, they're like, you just be steady, consistent. I want it to be like, there's no variation here. What's happened is we've moved away from the age of character, which is a person of character, of values, of principles matter the most. We've moved into the age of personality, and it's happened over the last several decades. So now it's like, we don't even care about your character or your values. Are you entertaining? And I have a theory about this. It's that because we forget how tough the world was just 56 years ago, where people are dying of disease and there's hunger, and the childbirth rate was low, and infant mortality and all kinds of things were like, we didn't have clean water. So we're a victim of our own success as we move towards, you have clean water, education, you're relatively safe. There are no toxic things in your food supply chain. You start to get bored. And so now we're electing personalities that really don't know how to govern, and we take it for granted that anybody can do that job. And clearly not anybody can do that job. And we're seeing that. Removing politics from it, the person who's got their hand on the wheel can actually steer it off road or keep it on the path. Now, when we say that maybe we want this personality, and we look at somebody like Elon, I believe Elon has done potentially catastrophic damage to his own brand at a very high price to himself without understanding fully what he's doing. I just saw that, I don't know if it's the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times is reporting that the board is actively looking to replace Elon as the CEO.
Wow.
Yes. And I think there was some reports about how many hundreds of billions of dollars he's lost, or some gigantic amount of money unfathomable to the regular person, because of things he's been doing because of his personality.
So personality can be a driving force for your business in a good way, but also personality alone does not make a fundamentally good business.
In most industries, yes. Some industries, it's all personality.
In some industries, it's all personality. I'm trying to digest it for someone watching. Like, if I was to take this away, I think you've summarized it really nicely in terms of, if my industry is keep me safe, then I just want you to just do the job. Maybe it's better to keep personality out of it.
Yeah.
If I'm in an industry where it's highly commoditized.
Yes.
We use water as an example.
Yes.
Personality is going to make all the difference. And then there are certain industries where maybe the core thing that it does may be about something like safety. It needs to be boring or vanilla, but the wrapper on top can be personality driven, because at the end of the day, people choose based on price. So there's the status thing, which we talked about. There's also the practical thing that we talked about. So I want to bring this back to the people watching this and saying, okay, if I'm starting a business today, And I've listened to everything you guys have said for the last 40 minutes. What should I do today? What should I do for the first 30 days, for example?
I think you need to be able to prove your business model. And the best way I know how to do that is to go market before you actually have a product. This is a hard lesson, especially as a creator like myself. When I say creator, I don't mean it like in the YouTube sense, one who makes things. That's what I used to do, design and build identity systems and things of that nature. Is if I wanted to teach a class, I would develop the curriculum, all the exercises, the templates, and then I would go market it and find out no one wants to buy it. So the way I do things now is to work really fast. Prototype a rough idea, an outline, just the title, the description, and then I would go and market that. See if I have enough people who are willing to give me some amount of money so I know what the price point is and so that I can run it through with them. So I'll take it, for example, like something I know about teaching a class. Don't be the person who develops the course and think you're going to be able to perfect it the first time. What I like to do is just do ugly first drafts. Charge a nominal amount, get 10 people in there, get their feedback, and see what sticks and where you need to keep developing more. And do this for as many times as possible until you feel like there's nothing else I could do to improve this. It's rock solid. It might mean 5 cycles across 5 or 6 months, but you're much better off doing that than sitting there and trying to squeeze one out in 3.5 months and realize, A, it's not good and nobody wants it, and it's under or overpriced. Both can kill you. So that's what I would do. Prototype and market early.
And how would you market today? Like to get your first 10 sales?
Social media. And I would use my friends and family network.
So you would still, because there's a lot of interest in starting straight away with things like paid ads or paid marketing channels. So you're saying if you had the choice of, spending $100 on ads or sending 50 DMs, what would you start with?
50 DMs. It's painful, but I would do it that way. I'll tell you why.
Why is that?
Yeah. Everybody listening to this knows 10 to 50 people that you can reach out to. Probably 10 in the inner circle, 50 in the mid to outer circle, right? I'm so fortunate to be in rooms where there are people who literally spend tens of millions of dollars a month in marketing, in ad buys. And what they're all telling me is it's progressively getting more and more expensive to buy a customer. That because Meta knows what it's doing, they've been slowly ratcheting up the price and they see the end coming where the return on ad spend is getting to be lopsided. They have to spend a very big percentage of their revenue towards acquiring a customer. And so they all would love to build a brand. And this is wild, right? Somebody said this to me, and I don't want to reveal who said it, but he's very successful, does millions of dollars a month and has a private jet and the whole bit. And he said, I didn't realize 2.5 years ago that this journey that I'm taking to build a brand would be a big game changer, that it's a force multiplier, that the advice I'd give to my younger self is build your brand sooner. And he's not a lone voice in his voices. They all want to learn how to build a personal brand because first of all, it's organic, it's real, it's sustainable, and there's added equity and value in doing this. This is the important part. What I'm trying to learn on the other side is I get a lot of organic traffic, as I'm sure you guys do. Can we amplify that strategically with really great posts that we know already work and put some ad money against that to then take it to the next level? That's what we're working on now, but that's 10 years of doing organic.
What we found as well is that where ads can be really effective is when you have already an audience. When you post content, we talked about this at the beginning of the podcast. If you sell something in a post, it won't reach people. The algorithms know that it's an ad and they won't send it. So if you have an audience and then you use ads to target them with a product, that can actually be quite effective.
Yeah.
I think that what we're seeing, interestingly, is that now the meta algorithms for ads and TikTok, I think as well, is rewarding creative. So in the past, you had to be someone who really got things like audience targeting. Right. Oh, who should I send this ad to? But today, the AI can do it for you. Like they know who will like this based on your behavior and whether you scroll away and whether you engage with the post. So today, good ad sales come from great creative. And I actually think that's an advantage for creators selling digital products online. Yes. But beyond that, what I think is interesting, and it's a stat that I found, was that when you take e-commerce, which is the sale of physical goods online, like Shopify, 70% of the sales on Shopify are done through paid ads. They're not done through organic. And when I look at digital products, I'm like, well, we don't have those same numbers. So I asked the question, are we missing a trick here? Like if the e-commerce world is worth billions of dollars and the world of selling, you know, your advice, your coaching, your educational products is still, you know, a fraction of that. Is that because we just haven't figured out ads?
It could be. The world of selling physical products and the mechanisms that are built to support that are decades old.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like we were starting in the 20s or the 30s and ads are already running for products and branding. And it's all the birth of all this stuff. And so we have a system and infrastructure in place to consume physical things. So a brand of soap, a kind of cereal that you might eat, or a spoon or a chair or a table. We understand that we don't need a lot of personality because you can demonstrate its utility in the product itself. Right. The problem with digital products, knowledge products, is what do we demonstrate? What are we touching? There's nothing to touch or know. And we already know this because we talked about it. With AI and large language models, you can have a teacher develop a custom program based on your specific preferences, your modality of learning, and the time that you have to learn it in the format that you want to learn it in. And you pay, what, $15 a month for that? That's what we're competing against. This is why a lot of the ad networks don't like selling digital products, because anybody can create a digital product, and then therefore it's much more prone to fraud and abuse.
Interesting. And my final question, and then we'll wrap up. I ask every guest this. I really encourage people who listen to this not just to digest the information, but to take action.
Yes.
So I ask every guest, if you were going to set a 30-day challenge for a person who listens to this and says, I'm going to do something straight after this podcast, what would you ask them to do?
Okay. Who is this person? What are they trying to do?
They are an individual with a small audience who is looking to start building a online knowledge business.
Okay. Got it. For the first 30 days, I don't want you to try to sell a single thing. If you do, you've already failed. So the 30-day challenge is for you to find creative and interesting ways to demonstrate your expertise. I've been studying this quite a bit. So in the world, there's like a lot of noisy content. Some things entertain us, some things inspire us. Very few things actually establish the person as an expert at what they do. I'll give you a really lowbrow example, a blue collar example. And there are people out there doing yard work. They mow lawns, they trim hedges, and they pressure wash driveways. I find it to be so pleasurable to watch them taking something that has a really strong before and after result, which is critical. And they don't even talk. It's just a lot of ASMR stuff. And seeing the transformation, it's like there's natural hooks in it because I need to see how this is finished. It's beautiful. We've seen this across mowing lawns, pressure washing driveways. We've seen this for rug cleaning. Have you seen those carpet cleaners?
Yeah.
And there's something so gross about it. I can't get my eyes off of this. I just can't. But they're demonstrating their expertise, which builds natural curiosity from me to want to engage more, to follow, and eventually, man, I think I need my carpet cleaned. And you don't even have to ask. That's the really cool part. What is the highbrow version of this? There's a guy, his name is Alan Peters, and he designs logos. I don't know if you follow him, but he does something quite brilliant. For most of the video, you don't see Alan at all. What you see is one camera from the top, and he's talking about a logo that he's designed. He takes you through the creative process, and what's really unique, which is a pattern interrupt, is he does it all analog. He prints things out, he cuts them out meticulously, and he talks about the problem. So all you see is his hands, locked off shot from the top. And he describes it, and then he has some clever things he'll do with pieces of paper, and then he reveals to you the solution. And he has a signature thing. He usually holds a pen or a pencil, and he drops it, mimicking a mic drop. And then he'll show you rapid cut, 6 or 7 mock-ups of how he applies the identity he's designed. And you're like, wow, that looks really good. So super smart, problem solving. Here's the finished product. And then the last shot is him looking at camera, and then walking away with his logo in the background. That's the only time you see him. And the only time you see him, he does not talk. That's a great way to demonstrate your expertise. How do I know this too? Because there was a post he made. He says, you know what? I just hit a milestone. I got this many followers, but you know what's cooler? My inbox is full with requests for work. That's what I would do. Find a way to demonstrate your expertise to position yourself above everyone else.
Chris, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for the time. We covered a lot of really interesting stuff, and I'll see you very soon in Singapore.
I'll see you in Singapore, and I'll see you at VidCon, I believe.
I will. I'll
All
see you
right.
there.
Okay.
You have a
Thanks,
good one.
Alex. You too.